What is going on, everybody? Today's video is going to be a little bit different, something I've never really done, but we're going to experiment a little bit, see how it goes. I wanted to do some one-off videos here on Madden 22, like rebuilds, experiments, challenges, stuff like that. So our first one here today is going to be a career simulation with Justin Fields. If you want to see some more different type of content that I'm not used to doing here on the channel, make sure to like the video, and if you're new, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And if I do more career sims in the future, let me know what players you want to see. And it doesn't just have to be on Madden. They could be on MLB The Show. They can be on NBA 2K. But today's career simulation will be with quarterback Justin Fields, who the Bears selected in the first round of last year's draft. I've been highly critical of a lot of the moves the Bears have made recently, but I think this is a home run. And as a Lions fan, I don't like that he's in our division. I don't like that I have to root against him because he's one of my favorite players in this year's draft class. But in today's video, we don't have to root against him. We are going to pretty much see what Madden expects out of Justin Fields' career. We're not going to make any moves with the Bears. I've turned everything on auto. So we're going to simulate his rookie season, go into the playoffs. I'm not going to sim season by season because, well, that would take too long. But we are going to do that for his rookie year. As you can see, the team ended up performing pretty well. 11-6, a wild card spot in the NFC, finishing second place in the division behind the Green Bay Packers. So overall, I would say team success-wise, a pretty good start for Justin Fields. Let's take a look at the numbers. Nothing absolutely spectacular, but he was pretty good. Almost 4,000 yards, 29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He was pretty efficient. He has star development officially, which is unfortunate, but we already knew he had star dev. That's not really a surprise. David Montgomery barely played. I guess he was injured. He looks to be fully healthy now going into the playoffs, which is a very big deal. Allen Robinson, of course, was the top receiver. I'm a little bit surprised he had under 1,000 yards. And then obviously the defense was top-notch. 24 sacks for Khalil Mack. That is an NFL record. So this team was pretty good in Justin Fields' first season. He ended up winning the NFC Offensive Rookie of the Year award as well, which is pretty cool. Good to see him getting some early hardware. So his first playoff game is going to be against Matthew Stafford and the 4-seeded Los Angeles Rams. Stafford has never won a playoff game yet until now. Unfortunately, the Rams do end up beating us 21-20. We only lost by 1. Justin Fields played pretty well, although his completion percentage was only 45%, but he did throw 2 touchdowns and no interceptions. But unfortunately, the Bears don't win the game. The Rams ended up losing in the next round, and the Kansas City Chiefs ended up winning the Super Bowl. Not really a surprise, but the team they beat was the 7th-seeded Carolina Panthers. All right, so we already know Madden is going to get a little bit funky today. Let me just say that's not going to stop anytime soon. So Justin Fields has 3 more years left on his rookie contract. So I think how I'm going to format this video is we're going to pretty much simulate to the end of each of his contracts. We're going to quickly go over how the team did in each of those 3 seasons, but for the most part, we're going to get to the end of his 4th season very quickly. So in year 2 of Justin Fields' career, the Bears are back in the playoffs. A 10-7 record and a division title for Chicago, but unfortunately, a first-round loss to the Trey Lance-led San Francisco 49ers. In year 3, the Bears are back in the playoffs, going 9-8, winning the division again, and losing in the first round again, this time 28-21 against the New Orleans Saints. In year 4, the team went 9-8 once again and won the division once again. The NFC North has been atrocious in this video so far. 9-8 should not be able to win the division that easily. So the Bears ended up playing Seattle in the first round, and would you look at that, another loss. So Justin Fields has made the playoffs all 4 years of his career, but he's 0-4 in the playoffs, which is pretty wild. Now, Fields individually is progressing quite well. He is an 85 overall, 86 if you count in morale, and he now has superstar development as well, which is pretty cool. He's currently the 13th ranked quarterback in the NFL, and he's only going to be getting better the next few years. So he's been, like, consistent, but too consistent. His passer rating has been between 94 and 97 every year of his career. So he hasn't gotten better, but he hasn't gotten worse. I guess he took the phrase, you know what you're going to get out of them, a little bit too literally. No Pro Bowls, no other awards here for Justin Fields, but he does have a new 5-year extension worth roughly $125 million, so Justin Fields will be sticking around in Chicago for quite some time. Looking at the other 3 Super Bowls, which of course the Bears did not partake in, Dallas won it in year 2 over the Buffalo Bills. In season 3, Carolina, led by Aaron Rodgers, ended up beating the Houston Texans. And then in year 4, the Dallas Cowboys got back and won again over the New York Jets, with Jermaine Pratt winning Super Bowl MVP. So we're going to do what we did for this next contract. We're going to briefly go over how the team did, but for the most part, we're going to get through these next 5 seasons pretty quickly. So in 2025 and 2026, the Bears were not good. They ended up finishing close to last or last in the division and not making the playoffs. In 2027, things got a little bit better. We won the division again, and we lost in the first round of the Cowboys. So Justin Fields is now 0-5 in his playoff career. In 2028, the team went 6-11, which finished dead last in the division. And in 2029, the team went 7-10, which finished in second, but no playoff berth. So in Justin Fields' second contract, the team only made the playoffs once and did not win a playoff game. So Justin Fields, in his 9-year NFL career, is 0-5 in the playoffs. He is a 91 overall, 92 if you count morale. He is now the 10th best quarterback in the NFL. And at 31 years old, this is probably his peak. He still has been very consistent. He had a really good 2025, throwing for over 5,000 yards. The next season was kind of bad for his standards. And then the next 3 years, his passer rating was in the mid-90s again. So he has been literally the epitome of consistency. He has made a Pro Bowl that 2025 season where he threw for all those yards. He ended up getting in. And he signed a 3-year extension with Chicago. So he's going to be sticking around with the Bears for a little while longer. Looking at the league history over the past few seasons, in 2025, the Saints won the Super Bowl. Then the Kansas City Chiefs three-peated. They won it in 2026, 2027, and 2028. So the Chiefs have won 4 championships in this video alone. I think Urban Meyer also has won like 4 Coach of the Year awards today too, which is kind of weird. In 2029, the Ravens ended up defeating the San Francisco 49ers, so Lamar Jackson now has a ring. So we're now going to go over the next 3 years of Justin Fields' career. Hopefully the Bears can see some more winning. And unfortunately, at the start of that contract, things were kind of rough. In 2030 and in 2031, the team missed out on the playoffs. In 2030, we went 4-13. In 2031, the team was not much better. But you think that's bad. In 2032, we went 0-17. Yeah. I mean, this is an 82 overall team. It's not like they're bad. And we have a pretty good quarterback in Justin Fields, yet the team went 0-17. Let's take a look at all of these losses in their beauty. There were a lot of close games here. It really looked like the offense, for the most part, wasn't that bad. It looked like it was the defense that really let us down. There are so many games with 30-plus points allowed, 40-plus points allowed. So the Bears are the first team in NFL history to go 0-17, and Justin Fields has more winless seasons than he does playoff wins. That was not a twist I was expecting going into this video. I mean, let's just take a look at this roster real quick. The team is not that bad. I don't think this is like a contending team, but they're not terrible. There's a 90 overall superstar receiver. The offensive line is pretty good. There's still 2 X factors on the defense, including Roquan Smith. And Justin Fields is an 87 overall, 88 if you don't include morale. So he is still quite good. He hasn't really regressed ratings-wise, and his numbers have not been that bad. This year, he did throw for 21 interceptions, which is a career high, but he wasn't that much worse than he was in prior years. So clearly, this was not Justin Fields' fault that the team was not good. No new awards, no Pro Bowl, nothing like that. Justin Fields is not under contract for next season. Thank God. Get him out of here. Justin Fields is finally going to play for a new team and finally have an opportunity to win something. So I found this kind of funny. So the GM ended up firing Coach Matt Nagy, which, I mean, after an 0-17 season, you would kind of expect. But the coach firing setting was on for CPU only. So user coaches literally cannot get fired. Yet Matt Nagy did so bad this season that the game decided, hey, we're still going to fire him anyway. Now, this doesn't really matter for the sake of the video. Justin Fields is probably going to join a new team anyway. But I just found that kind of funny. For the 3 seasons that we just went through, the new Super Bowl champions were Baltimore in 2030. They beat San Francisco for a second year in a row. In 2031, the Steelers beat the Falcons, and then in 2032, the Ravens beat the Falcons. So Patrick Mahomes has added like 4 rings today. Lamar has added 3, and Justin Fields still has 0 playoff wins to his name. So I checked the transaction log to see if the Bears re-signed Justin Fields, and they did not. So that means he has entered the free agency, and he is going to be on a new team. So now that poses the question, which team is Justin Fields going to be on? And the answer to that question would be the Houston Texans. So Justin Fields has hopped from one poverty organization to another one. The Texans did make a Super Bowl in this video, and they still have Deshaun Watson, which is weird because Watson is still quite good. He's an 88 overall, but that's with a +3 morale boost. So Justin Fields is going to be higher than Deshaun Watson going into next season. So Fields will still be the starter of the team, and I guess Deshaun Watson is going to be his backup. The new quarterback for the Chicago Bears is 34-year-old Zach Wilson, which is kind of interesting. The Bears replacing Fields with a different quarterback from that 2021 draft class. So Fields ended up signing a 2-year deal with the Houston Texans, so we're going to go through the next 2 years. The team is an 85 overall, and if you look at this roster, it's a pretty good team. It's definitely a massive step up from the Chicago Bears, who obviously just went 0-17. Superstar running back, superstar receiver, pretty good offensive line, and wait till you guys see the defense. This defense is really good. 3 X factors, including a 97 overall safety, a 96 overall linebacker, and a young 88 overall pass rusher. So this team is good. They should win some games. And we finished dead last in the division in the first year of Justin Fields' contract. And we finished dead last in the second year of his contract. So he went 6-11 both seasons. So clearly Justin Fields has to be cursed. I think he's made the playoffs once since his rookie contract, when he made the playoffs like every year. So now he's 36 years old. His 2 seasons with Houston were, again, very consistent. The passer rating was in the mid-90s. Fields has not won any new awards. He has also not received a contract extension yet. So he is a free agent this upcoming season, but I kind of want to see him back in Houston because I think this team gives him the best chance of winning, even if they haven't won with him yet. And as you can see, Justin Fields is not in the free agency class. He has signed a 2-year, $45 million extension with Houston, so he is back. But he's got a youngin underneath him. The Texans used their first-round pick, 4th overall, on rookie quarterback Elijah Foote. So I suppose Justin Fields is going to be the starter for the next 2 years, and then the Texans are probably going to let him go for their rookie Foote. The defense, by the way, now has 5 X factors. This defense is absolutely loaded. This is a team who should win some games. So before we simulate, I want to point out something funny that I noticed. 45-year-old Akeem Hicks is still in the NFL. He's a 53 overall. He's been in the league 23 years, and he's still on the Chicago Bears. I don't know if this is a glitch or if some players just choose to keep playing until they're literally grandpas. But yeah, I found that kind of weird. The age gap between him and the second oldest left end, Robbie Cotton, is the same age gap between Cotton and the youngest left end. That's kind of weird. That just shows how old Akeem Hicks is compared to the rest of his peers. So we're going to go through 2 more seasons, looking at the 2035 season. Can the Texans get back into the playoffs? The answer is no. We went 7-10 and still missed it. How about 2036? Can Justin Fields finally get in the playoffs with Houston? He does. The team goes 10-7, finishes 3rd in the division, but we do get a wild card. So this is Justin Fields' only 2nd time in probably the last 12 years that he's made the playoffs after making it every year under his rookie contract. So it's good to see that the team is finally playing well. Fields' numbers for his standards were actually kind of bleh, but it doesn't matter because the team won games. The running back Kelvin Crompton ran for 15 touchdowns, and it looks like this team's defense is really good. The left tackle allowed 18 sacks, by the way. Speaking of 18 sacks, that's how many Von Yancey got. Lawrence Golson had 5 interceptions, and this is clearly a defense-first team. 4th best defense in the NFL, 25th best offense, so it's not like Justin Fields carried this team. It might have been the other way around. So we're going to send this game against the Colts, and, well, we lost. So Justin Fields finally gets back in the playoffs, and the team loses and scores 0 points in the second half. So Justin Fields is now 0-6 in his playoff career. So going into the 2036 season, the team ended up re-signing him on a 1-year deal, and he is going to be the starting quarterback again. Elijah Foote still is lower rated than him, which is kind of a surprise. So I guess this will be Justin Fields' probably final year as a full-time starter, at least in Houston. Maybe ever, because he is really starting to regress quickly. He's now under an 80 overall. So I simmed the 2036 season, and unfortunately, the team was bad again. We had a record of 6-11. It seems like Justin Fields has gone 6-11 like 10 times in his career. But yeah, it was not good enough to make the playoffs. Now he is 39 years old, and he has to be getting close to retirement, although he still had a pretty good season. 91 passer rating, very consistent to what he normally does. So going into the 2037 season, it is official. Although Justin Fields ended up actually re-signing with the Texans, he is not the starter. He's actually going to be the third stringer. They have a new backup behind him. Fields stuck around as Houston's backup for another 3 seasons, and now here in 2041, at the age of 42, he is a 67 overall, and he is now a free agent. So this does look like it's probably going to be the end of the line for our good pal Justin Fields. Looking at the retirements at the end of that season, indeed, after 21 NFL seasons, 17 of which were spent as a starter, Justin Fields will hang up the cleats. I was able to take a look at his career stats the prior season before he left the Texans. Let's take a look at them real quick. So Justin Fields threw for 75,000 passing yards in his career, 507 touchdowns, 198 interceptions, and he got sacked 719 times. That has to be a record. He got sacked more than 200 times compared to the next most sacked quarterback. That's wild. So that really tells you all you need to know about Justin Fields' career. He was a very good, very consistent player, never turned him into a superstar. He only made 1 Pro Bowl in his entire career, but he was super consistent. You knew what you were going to get with him, and his career was not a failure. It was the other way around. His teams failed him. Yet, despite that, he never missed a game in his NFL career, at least as a starter. He played every game in his NFL career, yet he got sacked 700 times. So he was clearly a trooper. Unfortunately, he never won a playoff game. He went 0-6 in the playoffs. This is like the most Matthew Stafford type career ever. Puts up ridiculous numbers. As you can see, he finished 7th in passing yards. His career legacy score was around 6,500, which is not going to be good enough to get into the Hall of Fame, but still a really solid career. He just had the organizations around him fail to put talent, and even more noticeably, fail to put good offensive linemen around him. Here are the Super Bowls through the past 10 seasons. The Bucs won a few championships. Carolina made like 5 or 6 Super Bowls in this video. They won quite a few. The Steelers were really good towards the end as well. And then the final season, the Rams ended up defeating the New England Patriots. Also, I want to point out, in Justin Fields' final season of his NFL career when he was with Houston, the team did win a playoff game. Now, he didn't play, so he didn't win the playoff game on his own, but he was on a team who won a playoff game. Before we end the video, I want to show you guys one more thing. Akeem Hicks at 52 years old is still on the Bears. This has to be a glitch then. He's now a 37 overall. Roquan Smith at 45 years old is also still on the Bears. So, yeah, I don't really know what to say about that, but I suppose this is kind of cool. Akeem Hicks has had a longer NFL career than Justin Fields, and Hicks has retired after Justin Fields, which I don't think anybody is really expecting in real life, but you know, it's Madden, so Madden's just going to be weird. I hope everybody enjoyed the video. Again, something a little bit different, and Justin Fields' career wasn't really what we expected. He never turned into an elite player. His teams were never good for the most part. But hey, top 10 in passing yards all time. He still was a really productive player for a long time in Chicago and Houston. So make sure to like the video and subscribe. That'll do it for me. Peace out.